Tippett Brian saying most kids had never seen the U great, especially receivers. The U needs to give student a price break if they had 10 games. Let's start promoting the U outside of Miami and the state of Florida, like Jerry for Dallas. If you can branch out of state with schools like in the state of Tennessee, you will grow a following from early on. You know, it's interesting, and I'm sure if I opened it up to the chat and asked where they're from, you guys will see. I know because I'm behind the curtain. Pete, you know this as well. Not only do we have fans across the United States, we have fans across the world. University of Miami, very similar to Notre Dame in a national fan base. It's not like Ole Miss is a regional team. You don't find fans in Chicago. Like, you don't go to Chicago in the city and someone's like, yeah, my uncle grew up an Ole Miss fan. You know, that just, unless they're from Mississippi, right? That's just, you don't see that. Whereas I know that if you go to Chicago, Charlotte, Washington, D.C., you know, New York City. Trey Bowman says, I'm from Cincinnati. You were going to, Connecticut here. You were going to see Canes fans everywhere. It's very much like Notre Dame. I always like to say, if Notre Dame represented one part of the culture in the 80s, Miami was the other. So if you like the Miami side better, and you like college football, you're more likely a Miami fan than maybe your uncle or your dad or your brother got you into the Canes or your mom or whoever. So that is kind of the way a lot of Miami fans came up, which is different than I think a lot of other programs, which are much more regional than other places. So that's really, I think, the difference between Miami and other programs, except for Notre Dame. Notre Dame is similar to Miami, just a different lane than Miami, but the same kind of national reach. Mo, man, appreciate your support today and always. Top performers in any genre want a big audience. That's the main reason why these elite players all want to play in those conferences, in my opinion. It's true, but look, Miami is a big stage. There was no bigger star this year than Cam Ward. He was the first overall pick in the draft. They're doing it selling in video games. They're doing it in at NFL games. They're doing it everywhere. So, Cam Ward had the biggest audience. But look, the number one player in the portal was Carson Beck, and he followed Cam Ward, just like the top slot receivers are following Restrepo. Trevor Pena wanted to come to Miami to follow Restrepo. We chose Malachi Toney and then getting Vance Spafford in high school over spending all that cash on Pena. So success allows you to get more of these guys. I think Cam Ward opened up the door for transfer portal quarterbacks, and then Restrepo's opening the door for slot receivers. We need to open up some of these other spots, Pete.
Yes, and this is not really a response to what you just said, what you were just talking about right here. But the other part of it too, when you talk about why guys want to go elsewhere, on Mo's point here, I think the internet has changed a lot, man. From when you're older than me, but our eras aren't that different in terms of like recruiting and the internet in terms of like how it's affected the players. These guys have seen these games. National games have always been a thing, but like you can watch any game any Saturday now on TV. You can pull up any highlights of any player across the country now. Like, guys didn't grow up. South Florida guys, a lot of them didn't grow up as Miami fans. Not only because Miami wasn't good, but like Alabama had the guys who were from South Florida balling out on TV, right? So like there's more of a, why do you want to go play for Alabama? It doesn't seem so far for these guys. You can you hop on a plane and it's a couple hours away, right? So it's that part of it too. It's not, college football is not as localized as it was.
Yeah, and like I know, these kids don't see things the same way that a 40-year-old's going to see it. It's just different. I think it's great that the Canes are good now that and are relevant now that the game is popular. Meaning the NCAA football game. Now that game is back, the Canes are good in that game at least. I mean, we're highly rated in the game. We got some of the better players in the game. So kids that are growing up playing that game, they look at Miami like a real team, and people look at that like, oh, it's a video game. I know when I was a kid, and some of the older people in the chat, let me know if you played this game. Bill Walsh College Football for Super Nintendo. They didn't have the NCAA license. So like BYU was like Provo, Penn State was like State College, Texas A&M was College Station. That's how I learned where all these cities were. They had the same colors and they had the same players. They just didn't have the names. But when you play that game, as a kid, you learn, okay, well, this is the good team because this team has a 90 next to them, or this player has 90s. So you kind of learn what the good teams are as a kid through those games. So the fact that Miami is at least relevant while that game is out, it sounds so silly, but I think it's a real thing for players of that age.
Yeah, I agree. I think you said your kids were getting into it last year with the
100%. Cam Ward and Restrepo. I mean, that's for them. That's Canes football. For my kids, Canes football's Cam Ward and Restrepo. And then look at what followed. Forget like down the road. Look what followed immediately. We got Carson Beck. Carson Beck is the highest paid portal quarterback. I believe Carson Beck is by far the best portal quarterback. I mean, Terry Mensah, good luck in Duke. You know, Carson Beck is the best portal quarterback. Mateer, also very good. But Carson Beck clearly is following the Cam Ward footsteps. We talked about Vance Spafford, the best slot receiver. Trevor Pena was dying to come to Miami. We told him no. Malachi Toney's here. So when you have those guys, that follows. Now, while we're talking about Calvin Russell, we got 3,000 on. Remember, like and subscribe to the show. We need JoJo Trader, just to use an example, to get strong, to refine his routes, to continue on his trajectory. And he looked great in spring. I hear nothing but great things about JoJo Trader. If JoJo Trader is a first-round pick, you don't think that the next kid going to Miami could say, hey, I can be like JoJo Trader. It's just you have to do it to show people what it could be like.
One of these guys have to break through. Exactly.
Gold Jacket, you saying Mario's fighting to change 20 years of neglect and absolute irrelevance. I mean, look, that is true, man. I mean, look, some of this has been self-imposed, bad staffing choices, the Georgia Tech debacle. It'll be the first to tell you, you know, some of the mistakes that have been made, but some of that he's fighting. He is. I mean, if you're a kid and you have the same amount of money, forget overpaying because Miami's paying, but say you have the same amount of money from Miami and Ohio State, it's hard to not go with Ohio State if you know, just based on football. They just won the championship and they've been good your whole life. Whereas Miami, our advantages are the much better city than Columbus. Plus we have better recruit, you know, now better recruiters. I don't think there is a better recruiter than Mario. There's other good ones, but I think Mario's the best. So, you know, we'll see. Great point from Kevin Dennis. I think Dwayne Bowe out of Norland in 2003 started the receivers balling at other places. After Andre 99 has been hit miss after miss. Yeah, I mean, Ryan Moore, Lance Leggett, highly ranked guys that, you know, had their moments, but they didn't go into, you know, to the NFL or anything like that. Dwayne Bowe was a big one out of, I remember that one. P, you were still a youngster at that time.
Money Bowe, man. He started James Coley's coaching career off. I think Coley got the job at LSU after that recruitment.
Yes, sir. El Rico saying, just join the live. How are we looking at Calvin Russell's commit? I don't think we're going to get Calvin Russell. I think what I heard was Syracuse. Others have heard Michigan. I don't think anyone really knows. It's an interesting one. And then it could be something that flips down the road. Who knows? But Michigan would be a weird choice to me. They don't throw the ball at all. I know they have Bryce Underwood, so I guess that's the appeal. But it's not like Michigan's ever, in my life, thrown the ball very well. They had Tom Brady, and they didn't throw the ball that well.
Good point.
I mean, Michigan's a great program. I'm not knocking Michigan at all. Obviously, they develop as good as anybody in the country. But receiver-wise, I don't say Miami's been great because Miami hasn't either, but Michigan wouldn't be my choice to develop as a wide receiver. So that's a little unusual. Nick West, Dwayne Bowe was Andre Johnson's half-brother, wasn't he? I never heard that. He looked like him in terms of in pads. He was big, but I haven't heard that one. So if that's true, let me know. That would be news to me. So
Andre Johnson's half-brother, interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard that, but
never heard that one either.
Over 3,000. Man, this is one of the highest we've had. 3,200 on live for Calvin Russell. Man, we got to do these more for kids that are probably not going to go to Miami just to juice up the numbers. Let's just go live for who's the next guy on the board? Lamar Brown. We'll go live for Lamar Brown. We'll go live for Bryce Perry Wright. We'll go live for all these guys, man.
There you go.
Trey Bowman says if he picks Syracuse, he's definitely flipping. Yeah, Syracuse I thought was going to have a horrible year when they had that quarterback from LSU, the backup quarterback as their guy. They've gotten out Angeli. I think that was a good move. I know me and you both are big fans of Angeli. I think he fits what they want to do. Fran Brown's a good coach, so we'll see. But look, if they have a good season, Fran Brown could leave. You know, if they have a bad season, they have a bad season, and they usually do have bad seasons at Syracuse. So we'll see with that one. But yes, I think Calvin Russell, if he goes to Syracuse or Michigan, I think in either respect, I wouldn't say that's like a rock solid commit, just because he doesn't have that deep of a tie to Michigan, and Syracuse is just they don't get guys like that typically. Mo saying, if Mario had a sold out stadium every week, my God. Here, you know what, on this point, because we talked about attendance a lot. So I went back and looked. So 2022, Mario's first year, right? Let's say you're a Miami fan. Opening game, Bethune, whatever. Then you Southern Miss, you play okay, 30-7. Your next home game, Middle Tennessee State. That's probably going to sour you on being a Canes fan for a while. North Carolina, you lose again to Drake May. Another home game against Duke, 21-45 loss. That was a terrible one. I remember that. Then again, another home game, homecoming against Florida State. You lose 45-3. Then against Pittsburgh, last day of the year, senior day, you lose 42-16. That was Mario's first year. I mean, that was a horrible home. That was probably the worst home season I can remember. So that's turning off a lot of fans right there. Next year, you're a little better. You have a great win against Miami, Ohio, which was a decent MAC team that year. The Texas A&M one was great. Bethune, whatever. Then Georgia Tech at home, with all the momentum in the world, is the kneel down situation. You have a great win against Clemson, Virginia Tech, lose to Louisville. So you're getting a little better here in 23 at home, but you still, a lot of those fans that went to that night game saw that ridiculous kneel down situation. So those guys are getting turned off. Now, 24. Cam Ward, Restrepo, the best show in town by far, with all due respect to the Panthers. There was no better show than Miami's offense. Florida A&M, you score 56. Ball State, you score 62. Virginia Tech, great win. Cam Ward putting on a show. Florida State, you beat the brakes off them. Duke, 53 points, beat them. Beat Manny. Embarrass him really in that second half. Wake Forest, destruction. So undefeated at home last year. So I think what you see from last year, the entertainment value and winning every game at home, I think you'll see better home attendance this year. Plus, you have 8 home games, including some really good ones. Florida, Notre Dame to start off. You have 8 home games. So I think this year, assuming you don't just go out and lay an egg against Notre Dame or something weird happens, if you are a similar team to last year at least, I think you will see a really fun home atmosphere just because of the volume of home games, the quality of home games, and the fact that whoever bought a ticket last year to a home game left happy. Because we won every game and we put on a show every game.
Brandon asking for a CanesInSight tailgate. A lot of people have been asking for that.
Yeah, we're working on some things. We got to figure a couple things out. But I hear you. I hear you. We hear you. We're working on some stuff. Gold Jacket saying, forget selling out all the games. Never going to happen. Yeah, I don't even think. I know when we were really rolling, 2001. In the 90s, early 90s, and the 80s. I don't think we sold out the Orange Bowl every time either. So that is never going to happen, but that doesn't mean it can't be loud. We set a home winning record in the Orange Bowl, right, for consecutive home wins. So that could happen, having the best. You don't have to have a sellout every game, but you could have the best home field advantage in sports if the team is good, because we did it already. We were by far the best home field advantage in college football for basically a decade. We didn't lose. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Boyo saying, Moin, Canes fam. I appreciate you, man, out there. Like I said, we're worldwide out here. CanesInSight, Canes football. It's a worldwide fan base. Over 3,500 on now, man. Like and subscribe to the show. But yeah, man, fired up. Ahmad Richards, there we go, our guy. That Russell's a prize commit's going to hit like crack. Just kidding. We talked, I'm not just saying this because he's in the comments, but that whole conversation we just had about South Florida wide receivers, Amon was on track to change all that because he was going to go first round. So obviously, life happened and he's on to great things. But man, from just a football,
I sat in that man's living room trying to get him, man.
But man, just from a football standpoint, if that would have happened different. From a health deal, you're talking about he's first round and everybody wants to be the next Amon. So that was, we hadn't talked about that, but that was from that could have gone a whole different way. But we need a guy like Amon to really set the tone. Hopefully that's JoJo Trader. I remember I was actually sitting or standing right next to Amon watching practice in the spring, watching JoJo Trader. And I know Amon's a big fan of what he does, the smoothness and the ease of what he does, moving around and catching the ball. So hopefully, JoJo can't be that, but that caught my attention when a guy like Amon's watching JoJo and saying, "Hey, this is the guy right here." Says P was really working. There you go, man.
We got to do a tailgate with Amon. That's what we got to do.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to College Hunks moving junk. His company he works with, they're killing it. I know he's a big part of what they do. They say, yeah, JJ would have changed the narrative. That first round guy would have helped. We need that from JoJo Trader. I think Josh Moore's another one that could do it from a physical standpoint. Needs to get more consistent. He's just a freshman. It's rare that you have freshmen like Amon to make an early impact. But I will say, if any freshman makes an early impact similar to Amon, I don't want to say he's going to break the record, but Malachi Tony, to me, because of what's in between his ears, not that these other guys don't have it, but Tony's like that next level of just one. He's like an Ohtani in baseball. He's just a football robot. He understands the game. He's very smart to begin with, but then he also just does everything in his power to get ready to play football, whether it's taking care of his body, not getting caught up in distractions, studying the game, beyond extra, working the game, and then just getting on the field and making it happen with confidence. So I think Malachi Tony is the guy. I don't know if he's the first round pick necessarily just body wise that some of these other guys might be, but in terms of making an instant impact and young players saying, I want to be like this guy, I could see Malachi Tony. We talk about JoJo for a good reason, but I think Malachi Tony too, this year could be that guy where you're saying, that's who I want to be.